Hello and welcome to Lesson 6.3, Number of Equal Groups. Let's take a look at these two story problems and find out some similarities between them. Chuck has 15 toys. He puts them into 5 boxes. How many toys does he put in each box? Chuck has 15 toys. He puts 3 toys in each box. How many boxes does he have? What's the same about these two problems? If you said that both problems show that Chuck has 15 toys in all, you're correct. What's different? Well, when we look at the blue problem, we can see that Chuck has 5 boxes. Those boxes represent our groups, which is what we learned about yesterday. In the green problem, we know that he puts 3 toys into each box. In this problem, we have to figure out the number of equal groups we have. So, the blue problem tells us the number of groups, and we are required to find the size of each group, or how many toys go into each box. In the green problem, we are told the size of the group, or how many toys go into each box, and we are required to find the number of each group. So how many boxes, or how many groups does Chuck have? There are 2 different ways that we can divide. We can find the size of equal groups or the number of equal groups. Yesterday, we focused on the size of equal groups. Today, we are going to focus on how many equal groups these people have. Let's try some. Gabby the groundhog has 6 apples that she wants to store for winter. If she puts 2 apples in each of her holes, what number of holes does she need to store all of her apples? So as you can see, we have Gabby groundhog and her 6 apples. She's going to be putting 2 apples in each of her holes, and we need to find out how many holes she has. We're finding the number of holes Gabby needs to store all of her apples, or the number of equal groups of apples she has. What do we know? Well, we know that she has 6 apples in all, and she decides to put groups of 2 apples in each hole. In order to solve this type of problem, we are going to start with Abby's 6 apples. Because we know that she groups her apples in groups of 2, we are going to circle groups of 2 apples until we've circled all of the apples. Then we are going to count our number of groups. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, and that tells us the number of holes that Gabby needs in order to store her apples. Since I have 3 groups, Gabby needs 3 holes to store her apples. Let's try another. William has 12 shelves and some boxes. He wants to put his shelves in groups of 3. How many boxes does he need for his shelves? Well, let's look. What are we trying to find in this problem? We are looking to find how many boxes or groups William needs for all of his shelves. The information that we already know is that William has 12 total shelves and some boxes. He wants to put his shelves into groups of 3. Our goal is to find out how many boxes William needs to use all 12 of his shelves in equal groups of 3. I'm going to start with all 12 of William's shells. And just like we did before, we are going to circle groups of 3 shells. Each group represents one box that William will need in order to store all of his shells. Continue circling groups of 3 shells until you have no shells left over. In order to find how many boxes William needs, we are going to count our groups of 3 shells that we've circled. Since I've circled 4 groups of shells, William is going to need 4 boxes in order to store all of his shells.